statement is, with the inclusion of taxes, M&M proposition 1 changes now. Now debt to equity ratio makes a difference. Why? They say debt to equity ratio makes no difference at all. Because they're proposition 1. Without taxation. This is meaningless. So this is not important. But now with taxation, the tax including taxes, this is important now. Because higher the debt, higher the tax shield, higher the value of the firm, having debt will be an advantage. Based on based on this graph over there, higher the debt, higher the tax shield, higher the value of the firm, and having debt is advantages. Now the debt equity ratio makes a difference. Having debt, you got an ownership. Without ownership, without equity, or some kind of equity, the company is not going to exist. Ownership has to be there. E cannot be 0. Cannot be 0. If E is 0, then there is no game. Nobody's around. Question is D should be 0 or not? Question is, E will always be positive. Question is this equal to 0 or not? Which is important. If it's 0, there is no leverage, no tax shield. Without taxes, D is equal to 0 or not equal to 0 is not important. But with the tax shield, D has to be positive. And higher the debt, higher the tax shield, higher the value of company, and more advantages. Why is higher value of company? Because you have more money in your pocket to spend now. As dividend or as for investment. If you save the money and give it away as salaries or bonuses to the managers, then you have no advantage. If the excess money comes into the company and they give it away as bonuses to the board of directors, Christmas bonuses or something, the board of directors or the managers, then stockholders are not going to be happy. They want dividends. They want money to be used for investment. But we assume that there is no agency cost problem. The managers are doing exactly what the shareholders are doing. If the managers behave according to what the shareholders want, then there should be no problem. If there's agency problem, agency cost, then there could be a problem. Because they may see this excess money and give themselves more perks, bonuses, more holidays, more private jets for the company. Things like that. Shareholders don't want those excess costs. They want the money to be used for future projects, investment, so the value of the firm can go up, or they want a dividend payment, so the price of the stocks can go up. If there's no agency cost, agency problem, then managers should do that. The first proposition changes. That's important. The second one, proposition with taxes. If you remember, the second proposition was a linear relationship between debt to equity and RE. So, second proposition, the second proposition talked about relationship between expected return on the equity and the debt to equity ratio, which is the capital structure. And we saw that equation 8, was it equation 8? I think equation 8, or no? I can find it. That baby. And the equation was that. This is the line I'm talking about. Now with taxation, the equation changes a little bit. We have seen this before. Remember? Monday. And if you play with this line, and I have not done this over here, if you play with this equation, you can come up with this equation. Equation 10. If you hide this part, if you ignore this part, this section over here, we ignore this section over here, then this looks like proposition 2. The line that I showed you earlier. Right? But now I'm multiplying this equation by 1 minus t. What difference is it happening? What is changing? This is still an equation of a line, right? Equation of a line. Y is equal to a plus b dx. A is equal to rw. In this equation and the previous equation, equation 8 and equation 10, the intercept is the same. Slope is equal to rw minus rd. In equation 8, if you remember that. Is that the slope this time? Is the slope the same?
No.
Sure.
No, the slope needs to be multiplied with 1 minus 2.
Now the slope is equal to 1 minus t also. Has the slope increased or decreased? That's the first one. Slope. That's the first line. Slope that. Right? The second equation, this one, equation 10, has the slope increase or decrease? Has the slope become negative? First question. Is the slope negative now? If the slope is still positive? Because, no? That's the same. We are changing the slope by multiplying by 1 minus t. What is the value of t? 0? If the value of t is 0, the slope doesn't change. Right? Because this becomes 1 and 1 multiplied by that is the same. But t has to be positive but less than 1. T has to be between that. Say 0.3. If t, for example, t is 0.3, which is 30%, 1 minus t is then 0.7, right? The slope is then multiplied by 0.7. That means the slope will go down by 30%. And what does the new line look like? Meaning what? Intercept is the same. Intercept hasn't changed. So it will take off from the same point. It will shoot from the same point. Right? Anybody? You okay? Shoot from the same point. It will be flatter because it's this smaller slope and we go like that. Will be below this line. The first line, the black one, shows a positive relationship between as d over e increases, re increases. And as it goes down, re goes down. That's the black line is showing that. We know that. We already talked about that. Is the red line showing the same or different relationship? Is the red line showing the same relationship up and down, or is changing the relationship? What? Same? Red line also shows the same thing. So proposition 2 does not change. What changes is slope. The size of the effect changes. The size of the effect changes. Because this is fixed intercept. What initially only this part was affected. And now we add this. The size of the effect has got smaller. The size and effect of debt equity has got smaller. So proposition 1 changes with taxation. Proposition 2 doesn't change with taxation. The relationship stays the same. The only thing is the magnitude of the effect changes. If I ask a question like that within the text, with text, proposition 1 changes, proposition 2 doesn't change, but the magnitude or the size of the effect changes. Relationship is the same. I want to see those graphs also if I ask that. Everybody with me? Okay, this is the last topic. Bankruptcy. Bankruptcy, one limit to the amount of debt from person comes from the form of bankruptcy court. We cannot, as an individual person, individual investor, we cannot borrow money, keep on borrowing money. Nobody will give us that. The banks give us money based on how much collateral we can put up. How much money do we already have? Who are we? Where are we? What do we do? What do we don't do? People cannot borrow and borrow and borrow and borrow. Even in your credit card, there's a limit how much you can use. People have a limit of £10,000 or £5,000. Similarly, because if you cannot pay back your loans, you're bankrupt. If you cannot pay back your loans, if your debt is equal to your asset, you're bankrupt. If the amount of money you owe to the banks or to your bondholders is equal to the size of your assets, you're automatically bankrupt. Bankruptcy is not good for the firm. It's the death of the firm. If a company is declared bankrupt, it's pretty much over. In the olden days, in the 50s and 60s, if you in the Western world, if you owed money to the bank and you couldn't pay, you could go to jail. Those laws have changed. People don't go to jail now. You just don't have a credit card. Pay out of your paycheck, and you just have a checking account. You're not allowed to borrow money, you're not allowed to do anything, whatever. But in the olden days, if you didn't pay your debt, you went to jail. It was a crime not to be able to pay. Not only you're bankrupt, you go to jail. If they got rid of that. That's not true anymore. Now, bankruptcy costs consist of legal and administrative costs and the cost of avoiding a bankruptcy. As DE increases, the probability increases that the firm may not be able to pay the bondholders. If you borrow too much, the D is increasing and increasing. Debt equity ratio is going up. It will give a bad signal to the firm also, to the world also. These guys are borrowing too much. Can they pay back? That's why the risk increases and the required rate of return on the stocks increase. If a company keeps on borrowing every few years and the debt equity ratio is shooting up, the investors in the market will see that and they will wonder, first of all, why are they borrowing so much? Second of all, can they pay back? Is the default risk increasing or not? And the default risk is increasing. That means the risk of the firm is increasing, the beta is going up, which means the new stockholders, the new stock investors in the primary market or secondary market will demand a higher return from this firm, from this investment. Because they know the bankruptcy will make it, the chance they may not be able to pay. A firm is bankrupt when the value of its assets equal the value of the debt. The house, the car, whatever you have is equal to the debt you owe, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Whoever who's holding your debt will demand the money. If the amount of money you owe is equal to the price of the house you owe, plus the cars, whatever else you have, is equal to that, you're officially bankrupt. Because in order to pay your debt, you have to get rid of your assets. That's true for individual people, and true for companies. The assets have to be higher than your debt, whichever money you owe to the bank. The total assets you have, the house, the cars, whatever, have to be higher than the debt. This is the reason, till recently, 100% mortgage was not given in the Western country. You have to put 20 to 30% down payment. If you want to buy a house for £100,000, banks usually give 70,000 as loan. They want 30,000, 20,000 from you on the spot. So the loan is not equal to the asset you're trying to buy. Because when you pay back the 70,000 with interest, it will be quite high. That's why very young people, new job, have difficulty buying a property because you have to take a down payment. Down payment don't come that easy unless mommy and daddy are helping you. That's different. Otherwise you have to go live a few years with mommy and daddy or rent with somebody and save money for the down payment. It's very rare for banks to give 100% mortgage payment, mortgage loans. They want to make sure the asset that you're buying is more than the value of the loan they're giving you. At this moment, the value is equal to zero and bondholders take over. When firm is declared bankrupt, bondholders take over. When a firm is having problems meeting its debt obligation, it is under financial distress. When when they say a company is under financial distress, it doesn't mean they can't produce or can't pay the salary. It means they cannot pay the bondholders or cannot pay back the loan. When a company is officially financially distressed, when you hear on TV or CNN or read in newspapers or something, the company X is under financial distress. That means they cannot pay back the debt obligation. That's a fancy way of saying he is guy the broke, they're bankrupt. Firms, this is very important statement. Firms borrow up to the point where the extra tax benefit from an extra pound in debt is exactly equal to the cost that comes from the increased probability of financial distress. You borrow up to the level where after that you will be in financial distress. Yeah, value of the firm. Remember this graph you saw a little while back? Now, there, proposition 1 with taxation change. You remember proposition 1, if I can find it. There it is. Higher the debt, higher the tax shield, higher the value, advantage to the firm. Higher the debt, keep on borrowing, keep on borrowing, keep on borrowing. Higher the tax shield, P multiplied by D. That money comes into your pocket, give it as dividend, stock price go up, put it in investment, cash flow comes in, stock price go up, value of the firm increase, increase, increase. But then comes this nasty stuff. That if that's true, then this will shoot up, 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 and up to the ceiling and out of the ceiling. It will just shoot up like a rocket. But that's not true in real life. Big companies, major big companies like Apple or something, they cannot borrow unlimited. They just don't do it. People don't borrow unlimited. Companies act like people. People run it. They don't borrow it because of bankruptcy cost. Somewhere they have to decide. Somewhere, like over here, they have to decide this is the maximum limit they can borrow. After that, what happens? Company becomes bankrupt, and this graph, instead of going up, will go down. The value starts falling down. The optimum mix is D star. D star is the optimum mix. After that, It is the job of the managers to decide that. We go back to the first slide today. What is the optimum mix for debt and equity? Shareholders don't make those decisions. They are all over the world. The managers make the decision. If you have a corner shop, a Chinese supermarket, or taxi service, then you decide because you're the owner and you're running it. You have a debt to worry about and equity to worry about. Equity is the savings you have put in. That is the money that you borrowed from the bank to start this business. Somewhere, if you borrow too much, you will be bankrupt. Companies, this is where the job the managers are. They cannot screw this up. When they cross into beyond that V star, there will be big flashing signals of bankruptcy. Investors are not going to like it. New investors, old investors are not going to like it. Primary market will not like it. Secondary market will not like it. Bondholders are not like it. The current bondholders are not going to like this. What the heck's going on? You're borrowing more money? The current bondholders are not going to like it. Nobody's going to like that. They have to pick this D star. Beyond that, the benefit of this is not an advantage. Bankruptcy probability outweighs the benefit. There's a benefit to taking debt. There's a benefit to taking debt. The tax bracket you get. In fact, money goes towards future investment or dividend payment, which makes the price go up. But after a certain level of D star, it becomes, probability of bankruptcy increases a lot beyond the sign of danger, which makes this benefit not feasible anymore. They got to stop at D star somewhere. Each company's D star is different. They have it's the manager's job, the board of directors' job, where to go. That's why financial managers are extremely important. Their team is very, very important. I mean, companies hire major accounting firms to deal with this. PwC. This is what these guys do. Sometimes the managers who work in the firm cannot make the decision, so they hire professional accountants outside. The major accounting firms, that's what they do sometimes. They do for major projects for companies to see what is D star, how much more can they borrow. Tax companies do that too. And some of you may be doing this in the future. Right. Where are you? There is a God. Okay. Before we say goodbye and hug each other, can I erase this? Everybody got this? Right? Okay. Exam. Yeah, say it. 4 questions. Do 2. So 2 out of 4. There is no compulsory questions. You pick any 2 out of 4. Right? I think I'm not supposed to tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Okay? It's between us. I think the exam is 12th of January at 4:30 in the afternoon. 4:30? No, 2:30 in the afternoon.
Did you think about the rules?
Rooms? I have no idea. I didn't come up with the exam, or the day come, the exam office makes the timetable.
Yeah, but these are accurate details, so someone is just
It will be enough. You guys will be told. It may change. It may change, but I asked for an early exam to get out of the way, you know. I think 12th, 11th is a Tuesday, I think. The 11th of January is a Monday, so the second day of the exam, I think. I think we have a, does anybody want a revision lecture? No? Okay, no. No's have it. I think the 4th of January is a revision lecture. I'm so happy and excited about that. I don't know what time, but I think it's a huge room somewhere. It's a morning or afternoon. So it's the first day we come back from holiday. Yeah, it is. 4th of January is a Monday. And the university is shut on the 3rd of January. The first day of when we come back. So anybody going overseas, if you want a revision lecture, you better come back on the 3rd. Okay. How to study for my exam. How many topics have I covered? 9. I don't know about 9. I've covered 9 topics. Let's go one at a time. Yes, 9 slides, but I don't remember 9 topics. If you remember 9 topics, you never do 9 topics. Okay. I don't remember what the hell to do. Time value of money. Right? Capital budgeting. If I forget something, let me know. Who? One was my presence. We did the introduction.
You better test us on your presence.
It's introduction. When I introduce stuff like who's sole proprietor, who's a partner, and blah, 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 blah. What I do after that? Anybody remember? What? Great, nobody remembers. Nobody gives a shit. That's wonderful. What did you do after that? Everybody, anybody remember? There was a CAPAM over here. What? Portfolio. You did very well. Portfolio. What was after that? Efficient market. And then? That was okay. Something like that. Did I miss something? What a 9. Did I miss something? I don't know. Can you read? Capital structure. We just did that today. Efficient market, introduction, time value of money, capital budgeting, portfolio theory, CAPAM, efficient market, capital structure, right?
Yeah.
Statement number 1. Something you have not seen in the lectures will never be in the exam. Okay? Something, I will not ask you to tell me about my mother or father or your.
We know she's in Las Vegas.
Yes, that you don't get any points for that. That was in the lecture. So if I ask that, everybody must answer that. Something that you've not seen in the lectures will never be there. But something you have seen in the lectures is a fair game. Okay? Anything I've done over here is a fair game. You cannot come and say, excuse me, it was done. I didn't show up. Not my problem. You know? Everything in the lectures. To study good for my course, you must have the slides and the good notes. I know most of you were sleeping, but that's okay. I was sleeping also. I am one of those teachers. My teachers did it all the time, and I hated them for it. I still hate them. Most of them are dead, but I don't care. Because they made my life miserable when I was studying in the US. I don't intermix topics. So part A is not going to be portfolio theory, and part B is not going to be capital structure. I don't do things like that. If part A is portfolio theory, part B will also be something on portfolio theory. I don't mix topics like that. Right? Now, some topics are overlapping a little bit. These guys, little bit overlap. They do. The bullet comes into the Kaplan, and bullet comes into efficient frontier also. Something overlap. These guys overlap a little bit. Not too much, because time value, present value is there, present value is here also a little bit. I will give some formulas, the present value, future value, annuity formula, things like that. That will be provided. But there will be no formula provided for net present value, or internal rate of return, or modified internal rate of return, or these equations, or these graphs.
For the work,
Which one?
last lecture, capital structure.
No formulas will be provided.
Thank you.
I'm definitely not providing any formula for the portfolio. Okay? That'll be all equation oriented anyway. So the basic of annuity, present value, future annuity, present value annuity, multiple annuity, things like that. Okay? Okay. 7 topics. This is introduction. How can I give a major question on that? I just
By
find
the way,
So it's basically 6, this is just introduction to get to know. It's basically 6 topics. 4 questions. I will not ask 2 questions on the same topic. I never do that. I will not ask 2 questions on Kaplan in the same exam. It may have 2 parts, but there will not be 2 questions. I will not ask 2 questions on capital budgeting in the same exam. 6 topics, 4 questions. You do the math.
study 4 topics.
4 topics will cover you completely. If you study 4 topics fully, there's no way you will miss 2 questions. No way. It's not mathematically possible. If you study 4 topics very strongly, there's no way that you cannot answer 2 questions. It's not mathematically possible. I've given the conditions that I will not repeat questions on the same topic. I will not intermix questions. Now some teachers intermix. They give A, this, B, this, C, this, D, this, because they want to cover all the topics. Then you're going to study everything. But that's an unfair exam. I will not repeat. I will not give 2 questions the same topic. And I will not intermix questions. 7 topics. 6 topics. You study 4 topics very strongly. There is no way, mathematically, it's not possible to miss 2 questions. It's not possible. You study 3 topics, you're still okay. You're still okay if you study 3 topics. It's okay. 4 guarantees of 4 is an insurance policy, you're safe. 3 is also 2 is very dangerous. One you fail. 1 is a guarantee you will fail. 0 and 1 you will fail.
Topics like correlation.
God. Hey.
Topics like correlation, things like that, we need to know all the derivations
Wait.
to all the formulas.
Quiet.
We need to know all the derivations to all the formulas.
If I ask certain questions that require that equation, you don't have to show all the equations, but the main ones. As long as you're explaining what's going on. Right? If I ask something like, show me 0 beta, show me a risk-free asset when 2 risky assets create a portfolio. You go to draw the graph and show me how, If I give a numerical question, capital budgeting or time value of money, you show me all the steps. Wait, quiet. You show me all the steps. I'll delete that. You show me all the steps. You don't give me an answer. Show me what you're putting where. Show me which formula you're using, even though the formula may be given to you. You put me down. So I know you're going the right direction. If you mess up somewhere in the middle, I know you went the right direction. You just hit somebody. You lose some points. Not all the points, you lose some points. If you do something wrong, come up with the right answer, you got a problem here. So numerical problem set, show me all the steps. If any derivation or equation is required, then you show me as much as you can. If graph is required, capital budgeting, capital structure is all graph oriented. Portfolio theory is all graph oriented. CAPM, you cannot describe CAPM without security market line. You've got to do all that. Do not, the mistake people made last year, people just studied the numerical part very strongly. Capital budgeting and time value of money and bond evaluation. They did that very strongly, thinking, right, some of those questions will come. Yes, they came. But they also came in the theory part. Part A was explained, blah, 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 difference between net present value and internal return. Part B was numerical thing. So people got 100% in the numerical thing, a lot of them got zeros because they left it alone or they didn't write enough. Remember, I never give 100% numerical question. I've never done that. It's always be a mix. Everybody's okay? Yes, sir.
Are you going to upload a formula sheet on the blackboard?
No, it will be with the exam.
So we can't see the formula sheet until the exam?
You can't see the exam until the exam?
No, the formula
We
sheet.
need to know which formulas are going to be
Yeah.
available to us.
I told you, present value, future. Okay, I'll put that formula sheet up. Or which formulas I'm going to put up.
Thank you.
The day after the exam. Before the exam. Everybody okay? Have fun.